In this video, I want to talk about how do you speak to a person that likes to dry fast, and you can't. And basically, how do you convince them not to do it? And the truth is, you can't, unfortunately. Dry fasting, to me, is a personal topic. I run the UK Fruit Fest. I banned dry fasting as a topic many years ago. And fasting, I don't really like as a topic. Don't really like having it as a topic. People still want to sneak it in here and there. People love to hear about fasting. People want to talk about fasting. And it's, not a preferred topic of mine, but people want to talk about fasting. I'll maybe talk a little bit about why I don't like those topics as topics to promote to an audience of often beginners on their health journey. But dry fasting, water fasting is a practice of, on purpose, not eating food for a while, making a conscious choice to not eat food and just drink water. In that process, your body is still eating. It's just consuming the stored food on your body, your fat tissue, basically. So your body is still consuming, and your body will still have, there'll be proteins, there'll be fats, there'll be stuff the body can use. There'll be an amount of stored nutrition that you can last for a certain amount of time. Generally, people will start to die. Normal sized people will die somewhere in the region of 2 months, 2 to 3 months. Let's say 2 to 3 months is, well, even less than that. 6, 8 weeks. Let's say 2 months. Somewhere in the region of 2 months plus minus a week, people start to die. How do we know that? Look at the Irish hunger strikes in the UK prisons, in the English prisons, let's say UK prisons, in the 1980s. These were young men of the normal body weight of the 1970s, which is lower than it is today. So people of a healthy body weight go into prison, go on hunger strike for political reasons, don't need to get into the story, and they just stop eating. I guess they were still drinking water, but they were stopped eating. I don't think they took any supplements, or they took anything else. It was a strike. Now, you can look at every single one of them, how long they lasted. There's a few that lasted 70 days. 70 days is 2 months and 10 days, roughly. 2 months and a week. 2 months and 1.5 weeks. So that's death. But that's the person that lasted longest. There was a bunch of people that died in 55-day range. 55 days, which is, close to 2 months. So that's why I'm saying 2 months. So that's a fairly good, sign of how long you can last without dying, without food, right? And people are water fasting sometimes for 40 days. So people are water fasting for 40 days. And at certain fasting centres around the world, hint, hint, certain fasting centres, probably know what I'm talking about, who I'm talking about, they are allowed to fast, encouraged to fast almost for 40 days. Some people have done multiple 40-day fasts. Multiple. People have died 50, 55 days, 10 days, 15 days out of death. But people want to do a 40-day fast. Think about it a little bit. Fasting is natural. There's nothing natural about fasting for 40 days. Not a single thing. Even 30 days, nothing natural about that. Oh, every animal does fasting. Like, that's not true. That isn't a true statement. Every animal does fasting. What you're saying is if an animal can't eat, it can survive. It doesn't do a fast. It just can't eat. Or sometimes the body turns off your desire to eat, for sure. Is that the same as like a conscious fast? I don't really think so, right? Anyway, you know, look into fasting if you want to do it. My advice, not a big proponent of, not a big fan of it. Oh, you can take your health to another level. Like, what other level? So anyway, I'm sure there's something out there. So 50 days, 55 days, people are dying without food. 70 days, almost assuredly you're dying. And there's very few people that are reaching like 55 days that won't have long-term problems. Long-term problems. There's a story about a guy who did a long-term fast too long. Long-term fast. Way too, like, might have been a 50-day fast. Too long. At a fasting centre. I was allowed to do this at a fast, or they made a mistake. Anyway, some of us know what that centre might be. The guy developed beriberi. Beriberi is a vitamin B deficiency. This is something that, and it affected him neurologically for life after that. Now, this is the thing. You can go without food, like you can go without calories, but your stores of vitamins, minerals, things like that, I don't know the full stats on that, but they're going to run out quicker. You know, your vitamins are going to run out. I don't know the exact days and weeks for that, but they're going to run out quicker than your need for just pure calories, for the macronutrients. So, because if you think about it, if you can't get enough macronutrients, you might still be able to find enough food. You can eat grass or something and you could get some minerals, you can get vitamins, you can get all that stuff from just having some grass. So you can stay alive on like grass and stuff for probably longer than 70 days, you know, months and months and months till you really run out of fat to be able to live on. Man, it would be miserable. But people have done that in wartime and stuff, not as a practice. Don't try this. Don't create the grass fast or whatever. Like someone's going to do it. Let's do the prisoner of war fast. Like, we don't want to be replicating these things, right? So these are the people that say like, oh, I'm overweight because of my thyroid. It's like, there's not a single person in the prisoner of war that was overweight, and their thyroids wouldn't have been doing that well either. Anyway, oh, that's offensive, I guess. Anyway, so where do we get into with this? Dry fasting. So you're talking about fasting, people are dying, you know, 50, 55, 60 days without food. However, the longest fast was a big fat guy. Is that offensive? A big fat guy. A big guy from Scotland who said, I don't know how he came up with this idea, but he went into the doctor and said, listen, I'm going to not eat until I'm thin. If you want to study me, you can. This is what I'm doing. Study me if you like. And so they gave him, like, he would have electrolytes and stuff, but he just didn't eat, apparently. I don't know how true it is, but he did go down. He lost like 20 stone. He lost like 20 stone or something in a year, which is a huge amount of weight. So he had to have been fasting. Like, it was so much weight he lost. And he was able to do that, I guess, because he was just had so much fat, so much excess stored fat. And the funny thing was, the rest of his life, he kept it off. You know, people would say, you can't do that to fat people. They'll just put it all back on again. They've not solved all the emotional stuff. Not true. This guy didn't do any of that emotional stuff. He just didn't eat for a year. Just a crazy guy that didn't eat for a year. And over a year, actually. I've not got his name in my head right now. But he did that. And then he broke his fast with like a cup of tea and an egg sandwich or something. So everyone's like, you need to be careful when you break a fast. You must only have juicy fruits when you break a fast. Like, this guy did the longest fast in history and broke it with like an egg sandwich or something. Like bread and eggs and I don't know. Angus something. No, he was from Angus. So. He worked in a chip shop. His parents ran a chip shop. So no wonder he got so big. Barbieri, Angus Barbieri. The name's come back to me. Angus Barbieri. And he's not well known in Scotland, by the way. We should have like a statue of him somewhere. Before and after statue. Real contribution to science. A real contribution to science, you know. And they don't recommend that to fat people to this day. He kept the weight off for life. Kept the weight off for life. 1 year fast. That's better than anything we've ever figured out. That's better than anything. So anyway, that's fasting. But dry fasting is the conscious creation of dehydration in the body. That's all it is. Consciously dehydrating yourself. And in terms of deaths through dehydration, we can live longer without water than we think, in perfect circumstances. We can live longer without water than we believe or think. That doesn't mean that we should try, but we can live longer without water, because people say 3 days and you die. It's not 3 days. You can live longer than that without water. But you can survive. It's the weird thing is that people have turned this into a health practice. And I don't believe it is, but I think part of the reason they think it is because they feel good when they finish it. They drink water again and they feel great, amazing. You know, of course you do. Of course you do. You've put yourself under immense stress for a short period of time. And people are so disconnected from their body, they don't know any different. And also the body isn't good at really, we don't really have a good system of like being able to know exactly what's going on in our body all the time and all that stuff. And people who say, follow your body, listen to your body. Yeah, if your body tells you to stop drinking water, stop drinking water. None of this is good advice. None of it is good advice. When people get really sick, they often lose their desire to drink. People that have rabies lose their desire to drink water. That's extreme. But it's just another case of like, you can't just always listen to your body and think that it's right. There's people that get put on IV drips to keep them alive, to keep them hydrated. You know, that's a literal way of the medical world has kept people alive longer so they could heal. You know, when they were dehydrated, when they were having fluid problems and all that stuff. I don't know exactly how that works, but that's IV drips. So dry fasting, you definitely are putting yourself to dehydration. And when you're dehydrated, none of your body's processes, systems, are working as well as they should, including the detoxification ones. Nothing is working as well as it could. You're starting to cause damage, and you're starting to cause problems. Damage to the kidneys, potentially. And damage to the kidneys is not a good thing. However, you've got 2 kidneys, you can damage them. Go do a few go damage them. Dry fasting. Just a couple of dry fasts. You can knock off 30% of your kidney function. Why not? Scar them up. Get them all scarred up. It's a great lesson to learn. Get them scarred up. Scar your kidneys. And regardless of all this, people will post about their dry fast and talk about their dry fast and go on spiritual, you know, really passed through the gateway today and really breaking down some traumas. Some women are like, sorry for saying women, some people, but I see a lot of women, but men as well. Some people, I'm thinking of a few women, but they go on about these traumas over and over, like, oh, I've healed some traumas and I'm doing trauma work, you know, traumas. Like, it's never ending. Never get to the end of this trauma stuff. Like, at some point, are you going to get to the end of this? You know, it's just a continuous, like, I'm going to continually do these dry fasting, ayahuasca, and all this thing over and over for my, you know, confronting, healing traumas and more traumas and more traumas and more traumas, like getting to the deeper levels of traumas and over and over and over. And that's one of the things with dry fasting. People are doing it for some of these reasons. You don't need to fast, dry fast, do any ayahuasca, breath work, or anything to deal with traumas. It's probably not. It's probably the worst way to do it. You know, not the expert, but I believe that there are better ways to deal with traumatic experiences. In fact, it might be the case that just ignoring it was the best way of doing it. Like, some people just get on with their life. Maybe that's not the best thing, but, like, you know. Anyway, I've not got a lot long left in this video. But the point is that people get kind of faithy religiously when they talk about dry fasting. It's a dogma for them. They believe it like a spiritual practice. They really think that they've cured things with it. They really think they've detoxed things with it. And all these people have not got to a point of maturity. And I don't mean grow up maturity. I mean matured. Like, their education about this diet and lifestyle hasn't really taken root to a point where they can put it in the past, where they can move forward confidently on this diet and they don't think about that stuff anymore. And the body just keeps on improving, keeps on doing the detox, keeps on improving. And it's over time that work happens, as long as you get on the diet. People that do dry fasting, they're putting themselves back. I believe people that do fasting, like, move forward with your life. Get on the diet. It takes a while to get on the diet, and move forward with your life. That's my message to you. Anyway, thank you very much. Feel free to subscribe and like and share, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you very much, everyone.